My view now is that this has got to a size and scale where I actually think the government should introduce a deficit fund. I'll explain what I mean about that very briefly. I think it's got to a point now where the government in October, for anybody that's deemed to be in fuel poverty or vulnerable, and that will include prepayment meter customers, £1,000 should be taken off their bill and put into a fund. That fund can then be repaid over a 10-year period. Now, you can spread that across the whole consumer base, or government can partially fund it. But I think the problem's got to the size and scale that it requires something significant of that nature, where for those people who are deemed to be in poverty, fuel poverty, or vulnerable, need something the size and scale that puts their bill back to where it used to be before the gas crisis. You can then spread that over a 10-year period across the rest of the customer base. And then, to me, that's stage one of moving to a social tariff, which is what I think this country needs to have. And we should implement, when we get a bit more stability and a little bit less volatility in the market, the cap should be changed to be a social tariff, targeted to discount the price to people in poverty. Right now, people on a prepayment meter pay more, and that is perverse. And a social tariff should be brought in to discount the price for people in fuel poverty and people in a prepayment, and the cost of that should be borne by those who can afford to pay.
Anybody disagree with Mr Anderson's suggestion there? Mr.
No, I think from our perspective, I fully agree with what Mr Anderson said. We would fully support a social tariff ultimately, but in the short term, government needs to do more. And I think removing environmental levies and putting them into general taxation is one thing they can do right now. Reducing VAT to zero and extending the warm home discount further. Those are tangible things which can be done before the increase again in October, and an extension of the existing £200 rebate. I think that would help very significantly all customers, because bear in mind, we're looking at up to 30 to 40% of people going into fuel poverty when the price goes up again in October. Again, I repeat, this is unprecedented, so it requires unprecedented action from government at this time.
Thank you. Mark Jenkinson.
Mr Anderson, just to go back to that social tariff, can I just clarify, is that getting rid of the cap and moving it and creating a social tariff instead of the current price cap that affects everybody?
Yeah, to me that's stage two. So I think the first thing you need to do is to set up this deficit fund and take the £1,000 off those people's bills, because I just don't think there's any other way of dealing with the size and scale of that issue. Once you've got a market that's more stable, the gas price is more stable and less volatile, I think we should move to having a social tariff. I would convert the price cap into a social tariff, target it, whether it's the definition of fuel poverty, whether it's the definition of warm home discount, whether it's a new definition, I don't mind, and target it at a discounted price, not a capped price, a discounted price for people who struggle to pay. And I think that's the correct thing for this country to do. I think it'd be the best thing for the government.